This game never gets any better, does it? It's the same old story day in, day out. You get a good team, you get a bad team. You steamroll a team, you get steamrolled. But all we can do is do our best. And sadly, there's a few people that think their best is sitting on their sofa, scratching their nuts and picking their nose while everybody else gets out there and do the work. But I'm the one that's going to be sitting around for a little while in this one. Strangely, I'm here in the Tier 8 American Tech Tree Destroyer, the Sumner. And let me just say that this is probably one of the best tech tree destroyers. I love my British destroyers, but I have to say that this does have the edge over the British Tier 8, the Jutland. I really do think they fell short on the Jutland after the Lightning and before the Daring, because the Daring is one of my all-time favourites. But we're just scrolling through the specs on the ship here, and we'll have a look at my build, because I run this with Vincent Modoff, with Bear and Swirsky, sorry, not Bear and Swirsky, with Bear and Sims to give me some extra hit points, and I do run it pretty much as a gunboat. We have an epic reload booster. I was trying to think about what other builds you could put on it, and so I was looking at Ali Burke with Bear and Mordoff, and then looking at Halsey with Bay and Sims as well. And I guess if you're running tech tree commanders, that they're both viable options, and you can sort of mix and match and do what you want with their skills to give you the best possibility for gunboating. But there are my stats, and if you look there on the left-hand side on the details, you'll see that pretty much, I think it's almost 70% of my kills are from guns. That's how much of a gunboat this is, and as you can see, I do have quite a decent run in this ship at times, with a 65% win rate in the ship. We've got two divisions, and the division I'd like to point out is the Belfast and the Siegfried, because they are right behind me on A cap, and yeah, potato. I'll say it. I won't mention anybody by name, I'll just call the ships out. But I always say, play the cap, and if you can't take it, at least try to contest it. And as a destroyer, your job is to spot, capture, and kill. Now, we are pretty evenly balanced across the map as far as destroyers, cruisers and battleships go, so it would make sense if everybody would kind of stick together and play their cap, wouldn't it? Yes, that would be absolutely lovely, and in a perfect world, that is exactly what people do, and especially with a Belfast behind me, radar cruiser, Belfast 43 radar cruiser, smoke and torpedoes, and I could even drop a smoke for him so he could stay hidden for longer. But they are both gonna hang a hard left and head straight for the middle of the map. So the first thing they're going to do is abandon their cap. They're not going to support me as a destroyer, and so we get a ship spotted out there. We've got a Giuseppe Verdi and a Baltimore. I don't know what the DD is here because I don't see it, because I decide that I'm not going to push into this capture point alone. Certainly not with a Baltimore, because that's a radar cruiser, and I can see my two friends there sailing off into the distance, and yes, I am giving them some berating words across the comms for just turning and running away. Now, one of the things that I dislike about the Sumner is the fact that its torpedo spread is so wide. You can literally sail a ship through the middle of the torpedoes once they get out to any kind of range. And so if you're going to be firing long-range torpedoes at battleships, you're probably going to be lucky to get one or two on, given how wide the spread is. So I'm just going to try and bait these guys now, and as it says on the splash screen, don't leave me alone with guns, because what I want that Balti to do is to burn his radar. So I'm thinking tactical here. I'm dropping my smoke. I'm gonna try and get him to come in, light up his radar, and then try and skip out of range of it. We just want to be annoying and get him to burn through that radar, because it's one less that he'll have later in the game to use against us. But we have also got the Giuseppe Verdi out there, and he has radar too. So I'm a lone destroyer. I haven't been able to contest the cap. I have 2 ships with radar against me that I know about, and I have a destroyer that is unsighted. Yeah, there's not a lot we can do here, and some of yous will be looking and going, but you're the furthest ship back on the map now, you know, you're absolutely no use to man nor beast, you can't see a thing. No, currently I can't see a thing, but what I'm doing is playing smart. It would be very, very dumb of me to go in against 2 ships with radar and a destroyer when I have no support whatsoever. And I think that was the Belfast disappearance, so he survived all of, 3.5 minutes of the game or so, and the Siegfried that ran away from us, he's going to survive less than 5 minutes of the game. So GG guys, it would have been great to have had your support across here, but I'm sure you went on to ruin somebody else's game in the next one. Yeah. I think that's all we should say about that. Anyway, red team have got the cap, and they are now on the flank of the majority of blue team, which seem to be clustered around Bravo. The guys across there on Charlie, it looks like they're trying to fight a holding battle. Red team are trying to take the cap, and those guys are trying to hold them back. I think it's a Yagumo across there. I don't know what the other 2 ships are, but you know, they're doing their bit. They're fighting the cap. I'm sure that Yagumo is getting us torpedoes in, and we're kind of holding it even as far as ships go. So now that these guys are feeling, I think, greedy, and they know they're on a flank, they know they can get flank fire on. So now what I want to do is I want to get in on this capture point, and I want to let them know that I am here, because they know there's a destroyer out here, because I fired my guns at them to let them know I was here. But I'm holding off pushing the cap because I want to see where that Giuseppe gets to, and also I want to be able to push through and make sure that the Baltimore is not looking in my direction. So there's the Giuseppe, and I think it's 9k radar on him. I'm not exactly sure. Can't remember all the stats of every ship off the top of my head, unlike some. And there we go. The Baltimore is heading away. The Giuseppe is heading into the flank. So now we are going to push into the capture point, and those guys are going to know that I am behind them. That's not a fun place to be, is it, really? So here we go. We're having a look at what the Giuseppe's doing. I'm playing very cautiously. I don't want to touch the cap until I am ready. And I'm looking at where the Giuseppe is to go behind that island, because if I can stay screened from him, then he can't get his guns onto me, even if he does light up his radar. So we're doing our bit for spotting, and we've got an island coming up off our sort of 11 o'clock off the bow. The Giuseppe is behind an island. The torpedoes are running. Now it doesn't matter if we don't dev strike him, because all we need to be doing is to be taking some hit points off him. Now he can't see me, but because of the angle of these shells, we can get shells across the top, and it would be great to get a fire. He wants to be on B cap, which is the only cap that we hold, and he knows that they are losing A cap. So he manages to avoid most of those. As I said, the spacing between those torpedoes is absolutely horrendous at any kind of range. But now we are going to start getting these guns into action. Now there is a gap between that island. He can spot me between there. He's kind of at maximum range, and he's in the cap. And caps are king, as we say in this game. And so we have taken a cap, and we are doing our job now in that we are trying to prevent red team from taking B cap. We want to make it as uncomfortable as possible for that Giuseppe. There we go. He's put a salvo across at us and missed. He knows we're here now. And there are still 3 red team destroyers in this game. Sorry, blue team destroyers in the game. Red team have lost all their destroyers. So this guy, pretty much is surrounded by boats that can just, literally dev strike him, kill him. But I am going to stay on the guns because I want to get some fires on this guy and try and force him into a damage control, because then we can try to get him on fire again. The Baltimore seems to be chasing the other destroyer that's there at the south between B and C, and although I am spotted here, I'm just making life uncomfortable for that Giuseppe Verdi and chasing him off the cap, because trying to torpedo ships from behind is well, it's wasted torpedoes, because even if you've got, let's say, 70 knot torpedoes and that ship is going away from you at 25 knots, that means that torpedoes are only closing at 45 knots, and it gives them a lot of time to react and position their ship. And as I've said, the torpedoes on the Sumner, I think it's the 3rd time I've said it, the spacing is awful, and they can really, just turn their ship and get out of it. But we've started ticking up a little bit of damage. We've got a couple of ticks on the reduced reload now. As I said, I'm running an epic reload mod on here. I haven't put it up to legendary yet. But we wouldn't get anything out of a legendary mod on this one because we haven't got a kill. But we have got reduced reload by 4%. And it's already a fast reload, and I know a lot of people think that dropping 0.2 or 0.3 of a second off a reload isn't worth it. But trust me, it is. When you're running a gunboat, the more damage you do, you pick up a couple of kills. If you've seen my videos on the daring, once you get a couple of stacks on reload reduction and damage, you can literally chew ships apart. It is absolutely crazy. Now, Mr. Giuseppe there, I had an idea that he would come back around that island because he wants the capture point. He doesn't want to be heading straight into a basically wolf's lair of torpedoes swinging at him. He's seen where the torpedoes are coming from. It's obvious that there's a ship behind them. And although I'm in front of them, the other guy is out there on Bravo cap. He's yet to push in, but the Yagumo is pushing in now. And he does make a good call because we have pretty much got this one on points. But we're going to try and prevent this Giuseppe from taking this cap again. So we pop the smoke, and again we're trying to bait this Baltimore into burning his radar. I'm sure he's got one left. There we go. Now that could either be the Baltimore or the Giuseppe. Giuseppe decides that he wants to come around the corner. He could have stayed hidden behind there. He's already on fire. And I am just going to get completely trigger happy. I know that I have 2 ships shooting at me. I know that I am the only ship that they can see. So they are completely focused on me. And that is going to stop them from thinking about the other guys who are going to come in behind them. And it's going to play beautifully into blue team's hands here. And I think the Yagumo is going to do me a lovely little favour. Because Mr. Giuseppe here, I know he's got, 25, up to 30 seconds on his reload. He's going to take the time to load high explosive at some point. We have, had a number of fires on him. We're up above 100,000 damage. There we go. There's a salvo HE, but there is another fire, and I have no doubt that that would tick down, but no, he's damage controller, which means he must have let the others burn out. I'm trying to stay skinny to the Baltimore as I kite away and just keep the pressure on that Giuseppe, but turning into those islands, he runs straight into torpedoes from the Yagumo, and if anything, that has just sealed the deal for blue team. So you'll notice, I haven't pointed out, you'll notice that literally I haven't got a single kill in this game. And I spend probably the first 4 or 5 minutes just playing for position to get myself ready to do what I needed to do, to take control back of ACAP and then to put the pressure back onto red team. And I think I have quite satisfactorily achieved that. Now, kiting away has led me away from the Baltimore. The other destroyer out there is going to get some resets on him, and he is not long of this world because the Yagumo is quite a handy little boat in itself, and he is going to punch that guy a little bit more and take him out of the game before I get back into range of it. So here we go. He's disappeared. Let's see what happens. He does get the kill, I promise you. Major Rager comes up here, so big shout out to Major Rager. He was out there on the Charles Martel across on Charlie Cab, doing his best to hold the line there. And there we go. The Baltimore is gone. We finish on just over 122,000 damage with 10 cap resets and a solo cap. Only a handful of torpedo hits, but over 300 main gun hits. And as I said, kills aren't everything in this game. And we finish top of the board with 2,976 base XP. So there you go. Trigger happy TONIK in the Tier 8 Tech Tree Sumner, and that was a very nice little game indeed. A little bit difficult at the start, but a very nice finish. Don't forget, smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, leave me a comment, let me know how you run your American gunboats for your captain and inspirations. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and goodbye.